How to sell yourself is the topic of today's call. And it's, I know, super basic. It feels super basic, but I thought I will talk about it anyhow, because sometimes it's the basics that will help us to succeed. So what we will go, two things before we go into sell yourself is the intent and the system. Intent is the starting point of everything. Like, what do you want to achieve with selling yourself? For me, it's a critical element you need to know before, because if you look for a new job, things are slightly different than if you want to sell something or if you want to do other things. So it's just something that I have learned for myself. Always look into what do I want to achieve with what I'm doing. As more clear I am to myself, as easier it gets. And then I
Sorry,
will just,
as more what?
as more clear I am to myself with what I want to achieve. It's logic, I know, but still a lot of people struggle with it, myself included in certain times. So slightly different way than showing it until now. I'm showing you the personal branding system. One of the critical things that I see people not understanding is that the starting point of everything is your personal brand. It's not social media. I hear this quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, that everything is about social media. It's not about social media. It's about you and being yourself, truly understanding of who you are and what your superpowers are and how can you utilize yourself as the attraction point for your business, for your person, for everything that you want to achieve with your personal brand. Then the next step is the personal hub, which is your personal website. Everything that hosts your personal brand is your personal website. So the personal website is different than the business website, because the personal website is utilizing you as a human being through and throughout. If you talk about the business, let's say I have a personal branding business, I cannot talk about certain things as the personal branding business because that doesn't fit. Let's say I'm talking about running or inline skating or whatever I'm talking about, that doesn't really fit with the business, what I'm talking about. So it's a critical part that the personal website is the hosting platform and the differentiator. If we go into search engines, so when you search my name, which the people that want to work with me in my ecosystem and want to be associated with me, want to book me as a keynote speaker, they look for my name. They don't look for my business. So if I have it on my business side, they might not find me. So key part is building a digital ecosystem that is linked to myself. And that's why I'm always saying the domain should be your first name, last name, because that's what people look for. And slight variations. And everything will go back into that hub. So then we're producing content, which is strategic content that links to the 5 brand pillars that we're utilizing. And then we put that into the hub. And then from that hub, we're distributing it. We're distributing in all the different potential social medias that are coming or are already out there. We are utilizing the power of the internet, where we have an omnipresent experience for people, so that depending on their mood, let's say you are on TikTok, is a different time of the day and most probably different mindset that you're looking at things. Comparing it, you are looking at something on LinkedIn. So it's just two different versions of yourself and different mindsets. So you're looking at the same thing with different eyes and different ears. Then it's hearing or listening to it, not looking. Then as well, when we talk about search, which is like Google and or other and any search engine out there, that's also utilizing the distribution that you're putting in. Because what Google or Bing or any of the search engines is doing is utilizing the internet, which is your website in the end, to show what you're about, to show whether someone can find you. Same with large language models. Large language models are many, many out there, and one application is ChatGPT. And then as well, driving strategic and tactical leads to your business with that. And that's then when we talk about business website, that's where the business websites, landing pages, and everything business related is connected to. So that's the whole system, just bringing us back to this, because I know it's easy to understand, but it's some people still focus only on social media, and that's a completely different game. Because what we are talking about is personal branding when it comes to thought leadership, and not being an influencer. Because we are building legacy in what we are doing, but we want to have something that we own, and that's our personal website, and from there we can play with everything else. And that goes just different visualization of that. It starts with the brand and then it goes up to the business. So having said all of this, let's go into selling yourself. Obviously, that's linked to personal branding. One key element of selling ourselves is the credibility. And there are two ways of how we can get credibility. The long-term version of this is you build it, which means you're delivering results over your lifetime, let's say, and these results are compounding and you can show them. So when you have delivered results, you have worked in an exposed position, you have done things in the past, that credibility nobody will be able to take from you. So you have done a lot of things, and that credibility is long-term credibility that you're building. And then there's another way where you can get further short-term, and you can combine that obviously, and that is getting it from other people through association. And this works like this. You know someone who is 20 steps ahead of you, and this person spends time with you. Everyone that sees you and the other person together associates credibility from the person that is 10 steps ahead of you to yourself. And that feels wrong and feels awkward, but you see this all the time. I give you a Hollywood movie example. So someone who has been in a Hollywood movie, who just started their career and has been together, let's say with Tom Cruise or someone very, very established in the movie industry. This person will be seen far more and higher than ever before. And you see this even, that's more influencer, but let's say if you have an influencer and they use their face and they give their face to a brand, so the brand is associating the credibility of the influencer with their brand and the other way around. So it's a very, very easy thing you can organize. Obviously, the long-term version, which is building it yourself, you need to deliver things. You need to do things over time and get better and get recognized of that because of that. The other thing is you can do this strategically. That can be personal brand engagements. You do a podcast with someone else who's 5 steps ahead of you, and because you do a podcast with someone, you invite that person into your personal show or podcast. You associate the other person, or you associate yourself to the other person, and everyone that knows the other person says, hey, let's say Christian and I did a podcast last week. Hey, Jens is doing a podcast with Christian. So everyone on Christian's side will say, hey, if Christian is spending time with Jens, he cannot be that bad. The other way around, the same way. If Jens is dedicating time to Christian, Christian cannot be that bad either. So that's both ways all the time. So that's something you can use for yourself, just doing strategic engagement with certain people in your ecosystem. Then, as well, a super basic one, but often tough one, is if you do not believe in yourself, who should or who would? And that's, of course, we all have imposter, like everyone does. But it's more finding a way for ourselves to truly believe in ourselves and going back to the initial energy that we are about, and finding that energy and showing that to the external world. It's a critical element in being successful. Because as more we are dependent on other people giving us energy and believing in us, as less we will succeed when the time gets tough, and the time always gets tough over time. As more we can rely on our strength, on our energy, and our beliefs, as easier it gets. It doesn't mean that you should not believe and support and take as well support of other people. It's more about building the resilience internal. As better you will be able to sell yourself, as better people will see you and can feel that you truly believe in yourself. And then as well, a no-brainer, consistency. Show up and be there. And that can be in a personal context, be there for other people, show that you're reliable, people understand what you're about, and then that linking that to predictability. I always use that in leadership, but a key part is as more predictable you are, as easier it is for other people to work with you, to engage with you. If you let's give two extremes. If you are one day an asshole and the next day the nicest person ever, you're not predictable. That means other people don't like to spend time with you. And that's the same when you sell yourself. If people know that you are this person and you show up as they predict you show up, as easier it gets, because that's what people will get used to. And that's one of the reasons why we do social media 5 days a week, because you just show up. And that's one of the human elements that gets us into that being recognized and being clear of who we are, and then connecting that to the consistency. And then specifically in a physical environment, but similar in a digital environment, being present. And that starts with listening. Like you listen to understand, you don't just listen because you have to listen. Go always deeper into the other people that you engage with. And with that, then linking it as well to show that you are there, show that you are present. And that can be obviously in physical environments. If you're not believe in yourself, you show up differently when you're presenting yourself. When you are in a physical environment, people will see automatically, without conscious, if you're confident or not. And these are all things you can learn. So every one of us can learn to be more confident by body posture, by ways of working with ourselves, to be clear of who we are and what we want to represent, but also show the whole room that we're just entered without being cocky or without being like over the top. It's just you can do that in a couple of simple ways. And then one of the best superpowers we all have is being ourselves. When we are in a physical environment, digital environment, doesn't matter. If we are ourselves and true self, it's always easier because we don't need to remember how we should be. We are just ourselves. Another thing I truly believe in is give more than anyone would ever expect to get. If we focus on giving in everything, but specifically business, for me, this is critical in business because nobody does it, or many people are just takers. And in a business environment, that's not normal that you give and you give more than the people would expect. If you do this and do this more often, people will get used to it. Obviously, it's a challenge for you because You always need to deliver, but it's a positive challenge because you deliver. People use that as a prediction mechanism, and because of that, you will get more business. You will get more speaking gigs. Let's say if you're predictable in how you speak and you deliver more when you speak than everyone else, we're linking that always back into that loop. So give more than people expect. And then only the last thing when it comes to selling ourselves is ask for what you need. Ask if you can help the other person. And that's sometimes, at least if I talk about myself, I forget that. I don't ask. And as sad as it sounds, we're living in a world where there's so much noise going on. If you don't ask for things, you're not getting them. Even with your best friends and partners sometimes. So learning to ask for what you need, and that doesn't mean you need to ask every time for money or something. But if you just learn to ask, it's way easier for people to give you something. If you don't ask, people need to guess what you need. Something, at least for myself, I have unlearned to ask for what I need. That can be small stuff and that can be big stuff. So when we truly show up as ourselves, and in the end then asking for what we need, there are a lot of people who would help us. And we have seen this, of course, on the internet, but specifically if we take our community. I think if any one of you that is regularly showing up predictable and being truly yourself, you would ask people for help, people will show up for you. If you don't ask, nobody knows. So selling ourselves is different than you might expect, but in the end is being consistent, being there, helping other people, giving more than we would expect from each other. And then in the end, if you need something, you ask, but only after you have given. If you ask first, a lot of people will not give you anything. Questions? I know slightly different than some of you thought.
Sorry, am I still echoey?
Yes, but it's okay.
I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I had a question about you emphasized the importance of having a personal website from a business website for branding. I know with the approach that I'd taken here, my current website on Squarespace, built on Squarespace, integrates both, featuring me as a keynote concert speaker and a performer in one place. So do you think I should consider any adjustments to ensure that my website is effectively serving both personal branding and business objectives?
For you, it's different because you are the product.
Okay.
So you as the musician, that's your business. So you are the product. It's not that you have a business that does consulting. So if you would have a consulting business that does certain things, that would not fit. But because you are the product, it fits 100%.
Okay.
So
Great. Thank you.
you're a little bit the exception of that.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Other questions, thoughts?
When you have the feeling, like I experience this right now, as I lost like kind of traction professionally, like with the crisis and stuff. And I see like how much I was defined unconsciously by what I'm doing. And now it's like really hard for me to sell myself as I don't really feel like the value of what I have achieved in the past because I have not much traction with that right now. So I'm like also in the process of like redefinition or yeah, repositioning and so forth. But it's like very hard to speak from a very point of like powerful anchoring and oh, who am I? Because I feel like now, wow, I have to redefine myself. So it's like it's for me it's not so easy then to say like, oh yeah, and what are the achievements? Because then also when I look critically back, I always gave people a great time. Did it matter to the world? Not at all. In a way. You know, I just see that. I give these teams like crazy time, crazy insights, but I know it's all forgotten 2 months later because the fuck up is the fuck up in the corporate world. My
Exactly.
experience, you know, like I'm not the boss of a company that could reign like my imagination, and I would probably like suffer reality then as well. So, but this is like, this is where I am right now, where like I feel like a hesitation even to sell myself, you know?
Yeah. I think for you in this, if I understand you right, it would make sense to go back to who are you as part of this and not defining your, like, I'm not defining myself as part of what business topics I do from a person perspective.
Hmm.
So maybe for you it's kind of stepping backwards and looking into what am I about? What is it about me and what are my superpowers, connecting then my superpowers? And that can be business topics, but I think even if you think business topics, like if we take rapid prototyping in your case, like one of the things, but it's that's not the superpower. The superpower that is under that, under the hood, that's not visible, is you engaging with people and this kind of things. And going to that superpower level and to the things that are under the surface will help you to define yourself. And then from there on, you use that for business.
Hmm.
But it's not the other way around, in my understanding at least. Because of course, I'm communicating business, but everything that I am about is not about business at all. It's for
Okay.
me, it's like the values that define me and the values of the people that I want to work with. That's what I'm about, in
Which
my
is so
case.
cool because like I tapped a little bit like in the whole like self in the branding sphere. And what I dug out was like pretty much like two or three of the people I spoke with is like it all starts really with the values.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. How do you, for me, like for years, I would have said, like, I never care about values till I like feel, okay, they are violated, right? But still, like, when I do a value test, there's like, I don't know, like 70 like different values. Yeah, pick your 10 favorite ones. I don't know if that's always the same, you know?
Yeah, I think it's more. I would focus on what you care about
Hmm.
most, and it's not. I mean, it's not this scientific approach. It's more what feels right as a starting point. What are the, like, if you go into in the community, there are all these different exercises. One of one of the ones was like finding your superpower and then looking backwards, like what are the things that always have been there. Like you talk to your parents, you talk to people that know you over the last 20 something years, they will tell you certain things that always been there. It's just that you don't have them in your active mind,
Hmm.
and they're most probably still your superpowers today. They might be hidden behind other things, but in the end, it's always there. I give you mine, which everyone, I hope at least, will acknowledge. Like I'm a true community builder. Like I do this from a true connecting. I want to connect people to each other, and I do this without spending a single calorie and energy on it. I just do this naturally. Like you ask me for it or not, you will get it.
Hmm.
And that's, I do this since was a small kid. Like I was the guy that was bringing all the guys on the football pitch. Let's have a game in the school break. I was the guy that was organizing parties. I'm still that person. If you take my personal environment with my buddies from school, like when I'm back in my hometown, I'm the guy organizing that they're meeting each other. They don't meet each other when I'm not there, only when I'm there. And they live like 2 kilometers from each other, see each other once a year when I'm there. So that's one of the things that is like 100% naturally me. So for you, going backwards, looking into what are these things that somehow defined you over time, like kind of the hidden red thread in your life. And they're for sure things. It's just digging into that. Takes
Yeah.
sometimes a bit.
Great.
And maybe finding someone who's listening to you, so asking you all the question. Okay, tell me more. How did you come up with that? And that can be as easy as part of the personal brand development, what we always do. And I just did it today with Sabine, who is on the call with Oscar. We talked about her story and life-defining moments. And while we stepped through the life-defining moments, we went back to, okay, let's link it to childhood. What was before your life-defining moments? And then you see it's like, oh yeah, this all is kind of logically fitting together, though that it is 20 years ago. It helps a lot, just going backwards. And taking maybe business out for you. If business always defined you over the last at least 10 years, take business out and focus on everything else.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Might be tricky because especially when you have defined yourself with business, then it was all about business. Because business is as well, if we think from an adult life, it's quite a lot of time of our days. But I think there's still a lot outside that.
Mhm.
Other questions, thoughts, ideas on selling yourself? Disagreements.
Yeah, I could say a couple of words.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I just want to encourage everyone because many of us, what I hear is somewhere on their entrepreneurial path, and I did it exactly what you told not to. So I was ideating a lot and jumping again and again to the new, fresh and inspiring ideas, like an engineer with the propeller hat on their head. But what I did not do was enough discussion with the customers because honestly, probably I was afraid of not being competent enough to provide what I was hoping to provide. So that's definitely something I will never do again in a wrong order. So for me, it was very painful lesson, but very worthy. So I hope with Jen's talk and with my talk, some of you might skip that level. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, agree. I mean, this is all it's always a thing, and well said, Oscar, as well, that it is linked to your kind of your self-doubt sometimes.
Yeah.
That you don't sometimes do the things that you logically know, but you don't do them because it's kind of, nah, I'm not the right person to do this. Who I am, who am I? And everyone has that. I mean, let's take Jim as an example. He has been on world stages and was last in one of the 5-minute keynote discussions. He said, like, yeah, I'm not sure if I have the credibility for the keynote concert. And for me as an external, it's like, what the fuck? Of course you have.
I just think of a lot of that's just me coming from the academia world of there's people who received quote unquote, formal education for training and in being a speaker and public speaking and everything. I'm getting past that, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The tricky thing is with formal education, sometimes that doesn't mean that much, unfortunately, in the practical world at least. You might have all the theory of being the best speaker in the world because you have done 20,000 speaking courses, but that doesn't mean you can speak on stage, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
I'm more a practitioner when it comes to that stuff. Like, just do and figure it out. Other questions?
Yeah, I was wondering because like nowadays you see like a lot of like coaches of any kind, they come and like want to sell something slash themselves. Um, is the approach to sell yourself selling?
Yeah, I think it's in my world, it's branding. Because branding is still selling in the end, but it's different. Because branding is long term, it's not a quick sell. And that's completely different approach. If you focus on selling, then you try to get, let's say, if we talk business, you try to get someone buying something from you as fast as possible. If you focus on branding, then you focus on giving. That's why I'm focusing so much on that myself as well, because I know it's leading to sales. I'm giving and giving and giving, and then some people are saying, hey, can you help me? And it's happening every day. And it's only because I have given so much. So for me, it's like the branding aspects of that is way stronger than any short-term sales. Say someone giving me right now X amount of money doesn't always lead me to being the person that I want to be long term. Obviously, it helps always. It's not too bad to get money today. But if you think branding wise and like person, I think if you take the coaches, you already said it's like there are a lot of coaches out there and they're only selling. And that's why they are not going to be successful long term, most of them. They might have short term results that might be huge. Even on school, there are a couple of school communities, if we take the context of community building, they're extremely successful. Like they are on a level of 250,000 euros per dollars per month. That's fairly successful. But they're destroying everything and they're not going to be long-term successful. It's obvious already today. Because they don't care about anything. They literally take your money at the entrance door and then they don't care about you anymore. Which means you're never coming back to that person. Never. And maybe Sabine knows whom I talk about because I've experienced it with the same people. And she was in the community as well. But that's you only see it from the bad examples when people are not.
I can confirm, Jens. I'm not going back on that. You're
See?
totally true on that.
And the person is a nice guy. I think it's just that the person pushed too much on sales. And it's not going to work long term because if he has fucked up two individuals already, not fucked up. I mean, it was hundreds of euros. It was not a lot. But in the end, I will not trust this person anymore, like Sabine was saying. And that's done. Because you will always remember that. That's why if you give and then you fuck up and it is for free, it's still not good, but hey, it was for free. So the expectation is as well different. So yeah, for me, selling is branding. Successful long-term branding. If we go, especially when we, of course, look as an individual, but even for businesses. I mean, I had the pleasure to work in IKEA. And IKEA is top of voice, top of mind, not top of voice, top of mind worldwide when it comes to furniture. It doesn't mean they're always the best and the cheapest or whatever, but in, I think, all countries where IKEA was operating, at least when I worked in IKEA, not because of me, they were every time in the top 2 or 3 of top of mind. And that's nuts if you think globally. Like if I tell any one of you Swedish furniture company, there's only one. And sometimes it's even furniture company and you say IKEA. So that's the power of brand. You see this as well with sports shoes. Sports shoes is now slightly different, but in some countries, everyone would directly say Nike. when it comes to sports shoes. It's all brand. And that's the same for us individuals. If we talk about electrical car, every one of you would say Tesla, or at least in the top 3. Not that you like them and that you, but every one of you will say that. Don't know, but for those of you that have not been in the community in August last year, we did one of the first calls was about that, and I did like a quiz with everyone. Like, do you know the face? And then I ask who it is. And some people, like some of us, we have not heard about that person. This person is super famous, and they have millions of followers. It's only because of their personal brand. That doesn't mean that everyone knows you or everyone knows them. And of course, there's still famous and personal branding is not always together. Any more questions? Then we're closing a bit earlier today, so I have time before my next call. Good. Thank you very much for today. For those that are in the Netherlands or close by, we're meeting on this Saturday. I'm looking forward to see the Finnish crew that's on the call on Oscar's phone.
Likewise.
So we're meeting in The Hague in the Netherlands, and we are going into doing our personal branding blueprint together for 7 hours.
Ooh, I would love to join.
You're welcome. It's The Hague.
The Hague, Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that far away from Berlin.
No. I just have I have like DJ obligations.
Yeah. Oh, we will do this more often. Or maybe we do one in Germany as well. We
Yeah.
just need to find a couple of more people that want to join. Okay, good. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next Monday or in between.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much. See you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.